So it's kind of late. It's like 2 in the morning, but I was watching YouTube videos, and there's all these people who can't get a job. And that doesn't really apply to me because I'm homeless, and I kind of gave up after I got shot. And after I had my whole life just kind of controlled, demolished, all my shit stolen by my landlord. Had my fucking house crashed into, I was crippled, got shot. But anyway, these people are looking for jobs and they can't get a job. They're applying online and they're not able to get hired. And there's people on YouTube are talking about, oh, you just need to work as hard as possible. It doesn't apply if you can't get a job in the first place. And he's saying, well, you need to work any job. All right, so let's go for that. Let's just say you work any job. Now you're working two jobs, any job, right? When one of them fires you and you just pick up another one. Is your life supposed to be so precarious? And in the modern world, where we have all this technology, all these innovations, all these breakthroughs, we have overproduction, and you're still supposed to work two jobs and be working like 10 or 12 hours a fucking day. Okay. Just to keep floating as the rich get richer and their shrinking middle class, where you can't get ahead. And then I just want to talk about like me on Social Security. So, because I'm on Social Security, that's kind of the reason why I'm able to even manage not having like a life of squalor. It's still bad living in the tent, but I have the clothes I need, and there's still a lot of limitations, but I can survive with it. I couldn't just get a job and start working without losing exactly the same amount of Social Security, and you can only work 25 hours a week until you lose your Social Security entirely, and you can only make up a certain amount of money before you lose Social Security entirely. So, if that job doesn't pay sufficiently, but I'm still working the number of hours, I'm actually making less than I make on Social Security, potentially working that job. These are the jobs they'll hire you for. They only want to pay you minimum wage. They don't want you to have enough hours that you're able to at least rely on the income. And this is all about the disposability of the worker. You're considered disposable. And there's a quote. It says there's no cheaper resource than human labor. Okay. Now, you would think natural resources should be cheaper than human labor, but not at the end of the day. And they say, well, human labor goes into making it, and so the cost of the human labor has to be added to the cost of natural resources, which is why it costs more. Well, we have lots of technology. We can mine almost entirely autonomously now. We have mass manufacturing lines. There's robotized farming. It's becoming bigger, like vertical farming indoors and mushroom farming and stuff that can mostly be automated. I'm not an engineer from education, but I self-taught myself many of the skills of an engineer. I would say it's a simple engineering problem. If the amount of human energy I need for a task to be completed goes down, then the demand of human energy should be going down too, right? And so, if I guess you could say that in simple economics, that means that the price of my labor is also devaluated. But with the extra resources available, right, supply versus demand, now there's an excess of supply, right? That means that the cost should be going down, but it's not. We're not getting deflation. We haven't had deflation in more than 100 years. The system I designed, the government I designed, Cascadia, is at least based on a commodity-backed standard, and they're not able to issue debt except for a very limited, like 8.3%, 1/12 of the total amount in the Treasury, called bills of credit, for limited cases where the government actually needs to stimulate some sort of activity and doesn't have the funds available locked up in the state banks. Also, like, pretty much those treasury funds, well, the money that's in circulation, I should say, the money in circulation is emitted by the treasury. So while the treasury also holds the government funds themselves, I guess what I'm trying to say is that for there to be like velocity to the money, we need to be able to sometimes mint, or not mint, but emit bills of credit, which are kind of like small loans. But don't want to get into the whole money system I designed. I just wanted to say that it really seems, in this brief video, people are not able to get ahead. They are working very hard. You know, I have a friend who's a chef, and he's what is he, the manager basically of the kitchen, and he still cooks, of course. And he is working, you know, his days off that they're calling him in, he's having to work them, and he's still able to barely afford anything. So, you know, he's my prime example of somebody I know working hard who is not getting anywhere. And he's very proud of the next to nothing he has. So, I mean, I'm not trying to look down on him at all. But all I am trying to say is being proud of having next to nothing is not much of an achievement. And you're working hard for having next to nothing. So you should be proud of what? That you're working hard, not that you're got next to nothing. You deserve more. With all of this automation, like, where does it come from then? It comes from a wealth transfer from the upper class back down to the lower class, instead of them wealth extracting with their rent seeking and with their land grabbing and the fixing of the stock market and the bank bailouts, where the Main Street bailed out Wall Street. And you're telling me that we live in a free society, that we live in a capitalist society, we live in a crony capital, a captured society, and we are right now being held victim by our leaders and being held ransom, I should say, by our leaders, and also being made victim by our leaders. And the people who are in these positions of trust or authority, or at least power, who cannot be trusted, and all they care about is their own bottom line, and that has nothing to do with you. You're disposable with them. Like, people forget all this automation that I was talking about, which could be used to enrich the common people so that there'd be more than enough of everything. It would be cost next to nothing to buy everything you ever needed for your whole life. Okay? And yet, we don't have that. Even though all of the, like, hypothetical is there, we should be, with all these excesses, we should be wealthier, and we're not. We're poorer every day. You know, leave my story out of the picture for a second, because what happened to me was a cause stalking by my neighbors and almost being murdered by the government and having a spineless grandmother for a landlord and all this kind of shit, that I was paying rent and I was taking care of my needs and I was keeping the house clean. I was doing everything, taking showers and keeping clothes laundered and taking care of the yard and all that. And there was a part of my life, I had a garden and all this stuff. It was actually kind of good for a while, and that all went away, right? But it would take me at least 3 months of working before I could afford an apartment, because of first and last month's rent and security, plus my baseline expenses every month. It would take me 3 months of working before I'd be able to afford an apartment. Do you realize that I have to take a whole day off of work to do laundry and to take a shower? So if my boss expects me to wear clean clothes every day, that means about every 2 or 3 days, I'm taking a day off work to clean clothes. You get that? Because I have to go to Highway 99 here in Eugene to use the, what is it? St. Vincent de Paul Resource Center. So I can take a shower and wash my clothes. And if for whatever reason I'm stinking and the boss complains that I smell, that's the next day off I have to take a shower. Right? Can't do that consistently. That's 3 months of work. Right? Before I can get into a place. That's assuming that the work is consistent and that I'm being paid enough that I'm actually going to be able to constantly have this bill to afford. And there would be other bills that would probably be involved later on that I don't have right now, like an internet bill. And I'd probably get a laptop for the house. And those are things I don't have to have. I have this phone. I don't even have to have the phone. Technically, you can live without them. But I use it for my clock. And I use it to check the bus schedule. And, you know, other things, I guess, that are still, like, essential. I look up information with it. There was a shooting in the area by the school I stay near, out in the field I am at, and over by the school that I'm out in the field, right? So I had to look up because there was a lockdown. I had to look up when the lockdown ended so I could know when to get back. I could catch the bus to get back, or if I had to walk the 2.5 miles to get here from Springfield area over in Glenwood. So, point is, it's not about my personal situation. People are struggling right now with no good reason for it. There is no good reason for it. You do know that there are people who are wealthy are making more money right now than ever. And poor people, they're trying to make it. They're trying their hardest. They are struggling so that the wealthy can get wealthier. And I'm a libertarian. I don't believe in taxes in general, but I think that when you've hoarded enough wealth that you have 100 years of wealth in 1 year of work as a CEO, or just not even work, you're sitting on your investments. In 1 year, you make 100 years worth of money. People will say, you can't measure money by the years. If it costs, let's say, $40,000 to survive a year, and this other motherfucker has made $4 million. You don't think that's sick? You don't see the disparity? He's making that $4 million in a fucking year. And you're telling me nothing wrong here at all. It's perfectly okay. Are you fucking, out of your stupid little mind or something? Do you actually believe that's justified? What are they going to do with that money? Doesn't matter, it's theirs. What do they actually do to earn it? What would you have to do to earn that kind of money? I mean, people argue that football stars don't even earn the money that they make. That they're being paid these obscene amounts that there's nowhere correlated with the reality of what they're actually doing. You have people working hard every day who make, $30,000 a year, and they can barely fucking survive. And yet, somebody throws a ball and gets hit a few times and gets a concussion, and all of a sudden they're worth everything. I got gunshot, where's my money? Right? Every time my injuries makes you worth money, then I should be worth a good amount. I survived attempted assassination. I never got $1 for it. I got lied to that I'd get help and be able to get a lawsuit going. It never happened. And by the time I was able to start moving things around, I was trying to find people, nobody would help me. In the first place, I was calling around and nobody would help me. So you know what? I really started this video just to say people are trying their best and are not able to go anywhere with it. So what are you going to do? I'm not talking about having a communist revolution or socialist revolution, but what are you going to do? Do you realize that you're powerless? That you're being held ransom? That you're a hostage? Are you starting to see that now? That you're basically living in indentured servitude without having signed a contract to be in the debt? Are you seeing this? I don't think it's connecting for some people. We used to work less than this and make more money. We used to be able to buy a bar of gold every 2 weeks, make $6,000 or something worth of fucking money a month in comparative purchasing power to people today. That's wrong, isn't it? Is that wrong? That was working one job full time at $1.80 an hour. Your purchasing power was higher. You're being fucking robbed. You're being robbed, and you're being told to be satisfied with it. You're being told to make excuses for the people robbing you, to say it's okay for them to be doing that. Because, you don't have any other choice, do you? But that sounds a lot like highway robbery to me. And CascadiaPlan.wordpress.com. And Project 2028, the Cascadia Plan. Well, it's being published right now. And soon enough, although I will admit I've already made improvements to the Constitution since it began publishing, and it's too late, so I'm going to have to make a second edition at some point. I'll do that next year, I think. We're going to sit on the book for now and work with it. But if you want it to be better, then you need to at least be putting in that effort. You're working really hard and you're going nowhere probably. Like odds are right now, you're working full time or more than that, and you're still having to pinch pennies and figure out whether or not you're going to pay the electric bill or you're going to eat this week. Huh. Isn't that true? For so many people it is. So if it's not true for you, that's great. I hope your fortune stays so great. So wonderful. But it's not so wonderful for a lot of people. People are doing everything they can to get by. Okay. And at the end of the day, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, the middle class shrinks. You'll own nothing, and if you're not happy about it, you'll probably be euthanized and turned into fresh hamburger patties to be fed to the children at McDonald's. The missing children. Tomorrow's missing children are today's customers at McDonald's.